Welcome and welcome back. I'm not going to do that thing again. You thought I was going to do it, but I blew it on the other take.
Okay.
All right. Well, we hear about kettlebell ballistics.
He did that.
Son of a bitch. We hear about kettlebell ballistics. Well, what is it? And what's it all about? Let's talk about it.
Kettlebell ballistics. Generally, they refer to the three most common: swings, cleans, and snatches. But you've got your push presses, jerks. It's a class of lift that has very specific criteria, but not a lot of people understand what those criteria are.
Just do it.
People say, oh, well, they're really powerful or they're really fast. Well, that's true, but I could do a really fast squat and it may not be ballistic. So what are we talking about? So the criteria that, this is not an exhaustive definition, but the first thing we need to consider is that something's ballistic when it has projectile motion. So think of, like a cannonball, a bullet, a ball that we throw. It's a little less violent.
Yeah, I mean, geez, step off it a little bit, bro.
So the first thing we need to consider is that something is ballistic when it has a parabolic motion, or it goes through a parabola, which is kind of a okay. So there's going to be at some point where it starts, it's going to rise very gently, or more dramatically.
Yeah.
It really depends on the motion. Let's say I'm throwing a baseball straight versus trying to throw it up and far, but it's going to go in kind of an arc, just like let's say a kettlebell swing.
Yeah.
So we do need to acknowledge that they're not going to be purely ballistic because you're not going to let go of them, so you're not going to get that full parabolic motion. But
it's implied more or less. Right?
Yeah, so
it would happen if you let go.
It would happen if you let a kettlebell go on a swing, for example. You would get that motion, that parabolic motion. So the second thing that's important to realize is that the only influence is gravity at that point. Now, let's say you're doing a swing.
Okay.
And it's so. Let's say you have 1 million followers on Instagram, and you've decided that kettlebells are the thing that you're going to do this week.
Hell yeah.
Okay. You're gonna teach everyone how to do a shoulder raise, and you're going to call it a kettlebell swing.
Okay.
Okay. So when you're coming up in your nice spandex outfit,
yep.
Okay, you're going to be doing a lot of work on the shoulders. Okay. That kettlebell is not going to get ballistic because you're still pulling up with the arms. So gravity, force down, is going to be met by some force up through the arm. So that's not going to be ballistic. If you were to take that at any point, if you were to just cut someone's hands off, not a bad idea.
Yeah.
They're going to drop straight down to the ground with the kettlebell. That's what's going to happen.
That looked oddly satisfying for you to do that. Like you visualized it, I could tell.
So the bell and everything is just going to drop straight down to the ground. You're not going to get that parabolic motion. Okay. Yeah. And again, the only influence is not gravity. Those are two necessary conditions. So what we're really thinking about is the idea of gravity is really going to be important when we're thinking about moves, especially like swing, but cleans and snatches and things like that, because there's going to be a moment of transition. Even let's say you're doing a goblet squat, when you're down there and you're cleaning the bell, there's going to be a moment where you want to kind of let that bell go and move your hands around the horns to catch. If that bell isn't ballistic, you're gonna do what our new clients do. Yeah, and that's
it's like is there a light enough bell to do that? Yeah. So you could beat gravity.
Okay.
Hey. Or you could wrestle gravity.
So you see, the bell gets to the same place, but the second one was not, in fact, ballistic. So really important when we're thinking about a clean. Once we have that initial pull, we've got to redirect. That redirect, same with the snatch, is going to happen when that bell is moving up on its own. And then even though your hand is still attached to it, the only real influence at that point is gravity, because once you've hit that standing plank in most of these skills, I should say all of these skills.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's say it for all of them.
That's fair.
Check.
Once you hit that standing plank, that bell should be on its way, and you shouldn't need, if you were to let it go, it should continue, and you're going to get some version of that parabolic motion. So that's really important to realize that speed is important. The third thing that we really like to think about is kind of the other two coming together, and you need to out-accelerate gravity. Okay, gravity has a constant acceleration down. It's pretty uniform most places on Earth. If you're going to get a kettlebell getting ballistic, you need to accelerate up up, out, whatever direction you're going, faster than gravity is pulling it down. Okay, if you attempt to get that bell going, but you're not doing it as fast as gravity, it's just going to drop. Yep. So at some point, if that bell is going to get ballistic, it needs to be moving up, away, and regardless of whether it's horizontal or vertical, it still needs to be moving up faster than gravity can move it down. Really important to understand that, because technically it's an acceleration component, but let's just call it a speed component. The bell needs to move fast enough.
Yeah.
Okay. If
Otherwise,
the bell's not moving fast enough, you're not going to beat gravity, and you're not going to in fact get ballistic. So even though it might be like a silly kind of definition thing, when you really understand what it takes for something to be ballistic, specifically the acceleration up needs to be faster than down. You can start playing with some of these concepts and say, oh, well, wait a second, my clean is really clunky. Let's say you're coaching somebody or your own cleans need work. Well, if I feel like, oh, I'm really arm pulling it or whatever, odds are you don't have the bell accelerating fast enough. If you know that for a kettlebell to be ballistic, the only influence should be gravity, you haven't done that.
Well, how do you get a bell to accelerate faster then?
You need to get stronger, move your legs better.
Okay, that's pretty much it. We're going to give you that answer for almost everything with the kettlebell ballistics. Your legs can be faster.
Yeah. There needs to be, again, when you look at the force equation, you got force equals mass times acceleration. The mass piece is usually pretty static, but the thing that changes is acceleration. And we need that acceleration to get up there. So if you're looking to move a bell faster, yes, you're going to need to generate more force, but you're going to need to do it by accelerating the kettlebell faster. And from just a very practical standpoint, to go ahead and hit the bottom position of the swing. Bottom position, top position. The faster you can go from here to here, the more you're going to accelerate that bell. Now you want to watch your position and things like that. Do we like your hinge? Do we like the amount of knee bend you have? Is your technique right for your body? Those are all considerations.
Yeah.
But we need to give you room to accelerate, and we need to teach you how to accelerate faster. Maybe it may be that you need to get stronger. I don't know. Yeah. It's going to be context dependent, but the acceleration piece is really what makes a ballistic a ballistic.
Cool. All right. So if you've ever been wondering how to make a ballistic, watch this again and again and again, and tell your friends. Please download our app, Bells by Iron Revival, where we have plenty of ballistic type workouts in there for you to do.
We do.
Plenty of them. And that's it. Stay strong.